Haley, we go live on YouTube, have some folks just kind of join in with us and hang out, and then, we'll get started here in a couple minutes and get going. General run of show is I will hoot and holler and start us off, and then even if I disappear for a minute or something because of audio issues or whatever, you'll hear me come back. It's been a lot better with Zoom, so hopefully that's all just taken care of. But either way, you'll hear me come back, introduce you and everything, and then we'll move on from there. We talk about what we're drinking tonight, and then we talk about just talk about you for a while. Being off season, we don't really have a whole lot to talk about, so we just go with it. And if you're going with the flow, if you've got a story you're telling and it's taking a while, so be it. We don't have any need for commercial breaks or anything like that. We just sort of hang out. Usually do right about an hour. Is that all right with you, or is there a hard stop we need to get you out by? I can keep track of the clock.
No, I should be good. If I get a phone call, I'll just decline. I don't really care. I'm good. I'm not at work.
All right. Cool. So there's that. We should be all tweeted out and ready to go. And then, yep, there's that. And close out that thing. So make it so that I am ready to go when it's time. Sherman, what you up to?
I'm not up to much of anything except for being excited about today's work events being completed. It's been a rough couple days.
Man, I don't know how me and you line up on that. So I don't know if it's so well, but yeah, it's been bonkers. Yeah. So, most of mine, I will say, is interviewing people. So, it's like do a full day of meetings, then do several interviews. Then, now at 6 p.m., I get to start work. But I don't know.
That was kind of me today. I mean, I had a presentation to do, but the meeting didn't start till 4, so I was stewing about it all day long. Mm-hmm. And when you're on the horn with your boss, your boss's boss, your boss's boss's boss, and your boss's 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 boss, that can get a little stressful.
Oh man, yeah. I work for a small company. I think you're talking about it like our CEO's great-great-grandfather at this point. If we have that many levels of boss.
Yeah, well, such is the nature of working for a $6 billion company. That's global. I mean, not that you don't understand global, you totally get that, but yeah. I mean, it was all North America. Those people are all in North America.
All right, we got Raja on the phone. Not on the phone, on the deal. Wife's birthday and Christmas presents have been purchased. $160 to $0 in less than 45 minutes. Well, sir, I wouldn't count on you giving any, TED Talks on how to save the $160. But no, that's awesome, Roger. Birthday and Christmas, how close are those together? I wonder, Roger. That's
sure he'll fire away. I heard something on the way home, so I always listen to Atlanta sports radio. Haley, even though I'm working in Statesville and live in Mooresville, I got an app on the phone, and the 6 o'clock hour is always pretty nutty because it's the last hour of afternoon drive. And there was a joke they told that had me rolling. So they were talking about this new noise canceling, like the super duper iPhone earbud thingies.
Oh, yeah, the ones that cost like $, Africa.
Yeah, they're like $550.
Good Lord.
And so there was this debate going back and forth between the guys about like what you should spend money on and what you shouldn't, like cheap sunglasses versus expensive sunglasses, how many iPads one guy's been through between all his kids and whatnot. And the older guy that's the host said, I think you need to get on Amazon.com and purchase some responsibility.
Oh, dear the Lord.
It was funny because it fit. I was like, man, that's a good joke. That's not pre-written either.
Oh man. All right, well, we got some folks hanging out. Let's do a show. What do you say, Sherwin? You ready?
Yeah, buddy.
All right, Haley, you ready to roll?
I'm ready.
All right, I got to put my excited hat on And here we go. We're recording now. Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 271. It's Tuesday, December 8th, 2020. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace in the PTM Podcast Studio in Atlanta, Georgia. This podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. Go to patreon.com/PTM. Join the What You Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie and some stickers. Best part is, every cent this year, we're once again donating to sponsoring drivers who join the PTM Posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show brought to you by our official sponsors at that $5 and up per month level. They are Aaron Bearden, Robert Kettlinger, Coleman McClam, Eric Kettner, Ryan Kiefer, Patrick Lear, Jeff Brown, Brandon Crowd, Kathy McDonald, Brandon Crowd, Carl, Rika Porter, Julie Bowser, Eddie Gurr, III, Young from Motorsports, David Mullins, Patrick Johnson, Brett Morris, Chris Smoke, Fred Rosado, Chad Knapp, Stacey Coleman, Lisa Chinana, Rick Houston, Sarah Enbari, Evan Roller, Matthew Bishop, Matthew Camper, Harry Balzania, AJ Evangelista, Les Miller, and Chubby Bob. Had to take the last breath for that one. It might have been a belabored breath, too. Woo! All right.
So you might have bounced that one off the Armco.
It is what it is. Well, with that, from PTM North Carolina studio, welcome, Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Skew!
Man.
Let's do it.
Yeah, well, I think I threw my voice out already, so we're just going to call the podcast there, and see y'all folks next week.
Yeah, thanks for showing up, Haley. We'll see you.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, our guest tonight, welcome to the PTM podcast. She's a driver and paramedic out of Kinston, North Carolina, on Twitter at Haley Moody 50. It's Haley Moody. Haley, what's up?
Thank y'all for having me. I know we've been trying to get on here for a while, and I know I've taken a break from racing, so it's been a little different for me, but I have been working a lot, especially.
I got to imagine on that paramedic side, we'll talk about that here in a bit. Yeah, we were texting back and forth. I texted Sherwin. I was like, we've had Haley on before, right? Why can't I find her episode number on here? And Sherwin's like, I don't think we have, actually. I think we've been trying for so daggum long. So finally have you on. It's great to have you. And we start the show the same way every time. What are you drinking tonight, Haley?
I actually have Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
That's it.
There you go. The 23 flavors. We got the 2311 car coming with Bubba Wallace. I'm wearing the Bubba Wallace shirt today, Sherwin.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Well, mainly because it's colder than you know what, where. And I was, I think the wife started a fire downstairs, so that's, taken care of. What are you drinking, Sherwin?
So in the spirit of getting back aligned with that whole, beer thing that I used to do, I've got a, New Belgium Voodoo Ranger out of Asheville, North Carolina.
Well done.
The, sir. IPA Extra.
I think these red hair sticky stouts that I've been drinking for like 12 weeks straight, I think they said there's a rabbit on it and it's red hair. So I think they're just multiplying like rabbits or something, because I keep having one like every podcast and then I reach into the fridge and there's another one. So I don't know if I bought a case or something, but there's still some in there.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a gift that keeps on giving.
That's right. Oh, man. So I talked about it. I said the wife started a fire earlier. So she went online and ordered some firewood, which means it's going to be
Amazon.
Well, and so here's the thing. Every year, it's kind of on me to order the firewood, and I always F it up. Like, I'm horrific at this, right? And so I end up, and I go online, and they're like, yeah, we'll give you a half a cord for $450. I'm like, nah, I'm going to find me a redneck. And I find me a redneck somewhere on the side of the road who's chopped down something that ain't pine. And, I tell them, how about just load my truck up and I'll give you $75 or something. They do it. And it's always crap wood because it doesn't burn well because it hadn't
Won't burn. It's probably wet.
Yeah, it's wet and everything. And it's an ordeal, put it in. So finally I was like, fine, just use my credit card, put the money on there, whatever, order the wood.
Bad idea.
Yep. And so she ordered it yesterday. And today she got a note that they have canceled her order. So I have no idea. Like, did they run out of wood? Are there no trees left? What happened? So now old Rusty's, in the doghouse again. For not really, but for the sake of exposition. Oh man. So anyway, we're burning through the last bit of wood we got now. So hopefully we'll stay warm here over the coming weeks. Haley, what you been up to?
Nothing much. Just been working. I'm actually on my 4-day, so I get a little bit of a break. It's been pretty busy at work, as y'all know. The COVID mess is going on, so that's keeping us pretty busy.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have some breaks.
You might have heard I work in healthcare software, and yeah, where me and Sherwin have both been putting in hours lately that have been, interesting. Sherwin Sherwin, what would be the 2-word descriptor for your industry?
The division I work in is called Health and Hygiene Sciences.
Well, there you go. There's between the three of us, we got a lot going on. Haley, you're on the front lines of all this mess, so hats off to you. It's awesome that that you're doing that and everything. But I wanted to start Kinston, North Carolina. Am I even pronouncing that right?
Yes, you're right.
Okay. I had to look up where it is because it's inland just a little bit from the East Coast beaches and everything. And I was like, I have never heard of Kinston, so I need to find out a little bit about this. So I went online, did a little digging, as old Rusty will do, and found the top attractions according to TripAdvisor in Kinston. And I want to get your firsthand take of what is going on in Kinston. How's that sound?
Okay. Well, we have the Wood Ducks. That's the baseball team.
Okay. Granger Stadium?
Granger Stadium.
Yep.
We have Kinston Drag Strip. That's another attraction. Go. And then we have Walmart and Cookout and Chick-fil-A. We do not have a mall anymore. We have the new sports shop. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of that. Everybody that goes to the coast always stops at new sports shop. That's really about it. We're not too big on anything.
Well, that Walmart's got old Rusty's name on it. I might have to visit, go to the old Walmart. So
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that new sport because that popped up in my Twitter, or I guess I should say our Twitter, Rusty, as somebody was retweeting the hell out of it. So I guess it must be a big deal.
Oh yeah, it's a cool place. They have T-shirts, hunting stuff, fishing stuff, all kinds of mess you can find in there.
So, in looking up, it said the top attraction. Have you been to this one? The CSS Noosie Civil War Interpretive Center.
Oh yeah, it's like a museum for they actually have the real boat there that was in the war. It was outside, but they moved it inside. Okay. And now they have built a replica of it where you can go eat breakfast. I haven't done that yet. Not my cup of tea. I ride by it every day when I go to work, so it's pretty cool.
That's fun. And this one did have my name on it. Lions Water Adventure.
Oh yeah. They built this water park a few years ago. It's got 3 slides. That was my first job. I was a lifeguard and I worked there.
Oh, cool. How was it?
Oh my gosh, it was crowded. It was crazy. So crazy. But yeah. It's good for kids. We have some camps like in the summertime. They would take the kids there, and they have some lazy rivers, water slides, big pools. And then in the wintertime, they can enclose the big pools so you can go in the wintertime.
Oh, that's fun. Between the Lions Water Adventure and the Walmart, I think I've got me a road trip coming up, Sherwin.
Well, and definitely it will be a trip because it's way over there. I mean, it's every bit of, golly, I don't know, probably 250 miles from where I live.
Yeah. That's wild. So, that's the attractions. Now, the best restaurants in Kinston, North Carolina. Let's hear what you got to say, Haley.
You have The Chef and the Farmer, which is Vivian Howard. That I know y'all seen. She's been on TV. I'm not sure if y'all have heard of it. We have that. We have Chick-fil-A, which is my favorite. I love Chick-fil-A.
There we go.
We have some nice restaurants like Jay's Sushi, if you like sushi. We have King's Restaurant Barbecue. Everybody likes to go to King's for some barbecue.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like barbecue and I like bait.
There you go. Go ahead.
I said you're set if you like barbecue.
I love it.
Well, yeah. Rusty and I are what we like to say fairly accomplished cookers or makers or whatever the right word is of barbecue. It's kind of one of our pet passions.
I'll say this. I'm not saying I make the best barbecue in the world. I will say that I make the best barbecue for Rusty's taste buds in the world. That's what, and you know, I've got an audience of one, and if everybody else likes it, I don't care. If everybody else hates it, I don't care. That's
as long as you like it.
Good dadgum barbecue. And so no chance I'm ever opening a restaurant or anything like that, because if somebody says I don't like your barbecue, I might react strongly.
Well, for Haley's sake, the town that I grew up in, the little town I grew up in south of Atlanta called Fayetteville, not nearly as large as Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is why nobody's heard of it unless you live in Atlanta. But the people that own and operate Chick-fil-A live in my hometown.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
I love Chick-fil-A.
You've got the original Dwarf House, don't you?
Not the original. The original is the one at Hateville and Virginia Avenue, right there at the airport.
Yeah, that's right.
But for a long, long, long time, the highest grossing Dwarf House was in Fayetteville.
There it is. So I did write down Chef and the Farmer. You talked about that. You talked about King's with the barbecue. So for some reason, Lovex was big on that list. You been to Lovex?
I have been to Lovex. They serve breakfast and lunch. I usually don't get by there much because we eat breakfast at work, but it seems to be pretty busy. It's always packed when I drive by there. I've been there a few times. It's pretty good.
Cool. You know, I need to do this. Sherwin, we need to do this bit for our hometowns. I bring up TripAdvisor. Maybe you do it for me and I do it for you. And you do Snellville, Georgia, and I'll do Fayetteville. Mm-hmm. And we'll come up with the best things to see and do and everything else there. I have no idea what there is to do in Snellville. Even though I grew up there, me and my wife dated there. It's like, well, you've got the same thing. You've got the Walmart, you've got the Chick-fil-A, you've got all the.
Wait, there's got to be some kind of hole in the wall barbecue joint around.
You know, if there is, it sucks.
So you know what's funny is, you know, with all this stuff that we do on the Twitters and the whatnot, and people know where we're at, you know, and especially when I go home and I tweet with pictures of my hometown and stuff, and they're like, man, you got to go to Speedy Pig, and I'm like, well, Speedy Pig doesn't suck. It's good. It's a mainstay in Fayetteville, but if you want good barbecue, you go down to right past Atlanta Motor Speedway to the Southern Pit. That's where the barbecue's at.
There you go. Yeah, we would always drive to go get barbecue. We went to Williams Brothers or something like that to go get barbecue because there wasn't anything right around us. But anyway, so I kicked off the show, Haley, by saying driver and paramedic. So let's start with the driver's side. What got you into racing?
Well, my daddy always had a car since I was born, and he raced the UARA series with Jamie Cottle, Matt McCall, Scott Riggs, all them. And in 2009, he sold everything. He said, I'm done with it. Well, the next year I was like, Daddy, I want to race. And he was like, are you kidding me? I just sold everything. So he went and got a 4-cylinder Focus. And we built it from the ground up. And we started out in 2013 at Jacksonville Coastal Plains, and I actually won the first race that I ever raced in.
Oh, cool!
So that was pretty cool. And
was
the
Dad
second race,
was Dad PO'd because you were like, hey, that was pretty easy.
Like, wow, I just sold everything, and now I'm about to spend a shit ton of money to do all this again. But yeah, we won the first race that year. We ran that whole season and finished third, I think, in the points, maybe. And awesome. Then we ran some street stock races down there just to get used to the big cars. And then I went straight to Chargers or limited late models, whatever you want to call them. We ran at Southern National and Coastal Plains. And in 2013, when he passed away, was actually my first late model win at Myrtle Beach.
Oh, cool.
Well, wow, there's a lot to unpack there.
I know it. Hats off to old Dad here.
Oh, yeah. That was fun. That was memorable. He was there at the last time he would be at the racetrack. We'd won, and it was my first late model win, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah. Did you watch racing growing up?
I did. We were big Ford fans, so we always pulled for Mark Martin and Bill Elliott. He loved Davey Allison, and we were not Chevrolet people, but that's just how I was raised. Like growing up, I always said, hey, I want a Mustang for my 16th birthday, or I want a Tahoe or something like that. And he'd be like, well, they make a Ford just like it. Like he was diehard Ford fan. So I grew up going to Charlotte, watching the races and around, and it was cool to hang out with the drivers that he raced for, like Matt. I grew up with Matt and Jamie and Scott, so that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's
cool. Really cool.
And then I think you said your the first race car was a Taurus, so it was straight up. Hey, we're still sticking with Ford here.
Oh, we're Ford all the way. I actually bought my Tahoe 2 years ago, and my mama told me, she said, you know your daddy's rolling over in his grave right now because you bought a Chevrolet. I said, I know he is.
That's funny. I'm glad you brought that up because I was kind of having this conversation in the public space on Twitter last week about how I don't think that what the old school race on Sunday, sell on Monday, that doesn't seem to be as applicable as it used to be. And the fact that people tend to follow drivers or teams now as opposed to OEM manufacturer. But it's interesting to hear someone that was dyed in the wool for a particular brand.
Growing up, it was always Ford, but now it seems like the cars are really basically the same. It's not really anything different except the sticker.
As soon as Dodge comes back, I don't care who's driving it. If it's who cares who's driving it? I am, and maybe I'm the last of the kind here, Sherwin, but I will be Dodge everything, whatever it is, whoever it is. I'm rooting for that one. So I'm at least
not that different.
On board with that.
Yeah, we're not that different at all in that respect. I mean, so Haley, just for your perspective. Rusty and I got in the sport about the same time. We were in college together. We were roommates in a fraternity house, in the early 2000s. And we were I actually nicknamed Rusty's name that he goes by is Ricky, but his last name's Wallace. And I was like, hold the phone, because I had just really started to get into NASCAR in 2001. And so we ended up hitting it off pretty good, and he's been Rusty ever since.
I've been Rusty to probably 200 people ever since. So it's all good.
Oh, that was your name.
It's you know what it is at this point. And I grew up. My grandfather watched racing, so I kind of I didn't really even half watch. I might have quarter watch. Like, hey, what's old Grandpa watching over there? But my name's Ricky, and so Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace were the two that I was like, hey, I can get onto them because they got my same first name and my same last name. So when Sherwin was like, your name's Rusty now, I'm like, okay, that's cool. I know who that is. So yeah, we had a good time following along with that for a while. One of the things when you are at the racetrack for the first few times or whatever. Was there any point where you were kind of like starstruck, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this person's here?
Oh yeah. I actually watched Denny Hamlin race at Southern National. I used to enjoy watching him race there, and I was never a Denny Hamlin fan though. Because he always raced against my daddy's car, so it was kind of neat to see him there. And then the older I got and the more he moved up, it was like, man, I used to see him in person every weekend. What is everybody so crazy about? He's just a person. So that was kind of cool. And Jamie, he actually worked for Dale Jr. So when he started helping me race, we used to go up there to the shop and we talk like we are right now, just normal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was down to earth, cool. He knew who I was, and he was keeping up with me, so I found that pretty cool.
Sweet. So one thing that we ask all the drivers that come on, because I can't remember who it was now, Sherwin, that asked it originally, but it always elicits a great response. Was there any time where you showed up to a race and you forgot something? You were like, oh, crap, where's my steering wheel? I think there was a driver one time who said they forgot their steering wheel. Somebody else forgot their fire suit. Somebody else, it might have been Ross Chastain, like forgot his credentials, and he was unsuccessful at playing the "Do you know who I am" card.
I was actually at Myrtle Beach one weekend, and we have Hans devices, and my mother would not let me race without my Hans device. So I forgot it. We were 3 hours from the racetrack. There was no way by practice that we could get one. So I actually borrowed Alex Jantz's Hans device. Well, I actually still have it. He said, oh, you can have it. You won that weekend. You can keep it. That's your good luck charm. So ever since then, I have his Hans device.
There we go. I love the story.
That's cool.
Yeah, and how it ends up and everything. So since then, you've taken the detour into the paramedic side of stuff. That seems like quite a shift from racing. What got you there?
Oh, yeah. I've always wanted to be in the healthcare field. I actually am a surgical tech as well. I got that in 2014. And I liked being in the operating room. I just didn't like being in one room all day. So it wasn't for me. I needed to be out and about doing things. So I went to school and got my EMT basic, and I worked as a basic for a year. And I just finished my paramedic degree in April. So that's been cool. I eventually want to be a flight paramedic or a nurse.
Ooh.
Or on the helicopter, so I can do critical care stuff. So that's my end goal eventually. I like the adrenaline, so it's fun to drive fast and knock people out of the way, kind of. So it's kind of it. It's kind of goes hand in hand with racing. We run like 86 miles an hour, lights and sirens, so that's pretty fun.
Yeah, that was something I was going to ask. What's that like? What's the parallels to racing in that? So you're in an ambulance or something. Y'all are flying down the road.
Oh yeah, we run pretty fast, and people like to get in your way, and you're like, man, get the heck out of my way. You want to hit them, but you know, but in all honesty, we have to abide by the law just like everybody else does. We just get to go a little bit faster.
That's funny. What's the like? I don't know, from the ambulance perspective, what's the rules of the road and what makes you mad? Like people getting in the way sounds like the biggest thing. Is that right?
Yeah. Like when we're going and people are going in front of you and you're blowing the horn and they don't move over, but all of a sudden they see the lights behind them and they slam on brakes. So you basically have
Yep.
to go off the road to keep from hitting them, or they'll try to speed up faster where you can't pass them, or you have to stop at all stop signs, stop lights, everything. It's basically like driving your own vehicle. You just have to be precautious. The pedestrians still have the right of way, as always.
Huh. I didn't realize all that. How about this one? So when I get off my exit to come home, there is like a big old long line of people in every lane, and every, once a year or whatever, there will be some paramedic that just got off that same exit. Like, what am I supposed to do when I am 5 deep in that? And what do you do when what do y'all do when you get to that point and maneuver around, or what's the etiquette here?
Sometimes at that point we'll just turn our lights off and just sit there and wait because you can't do anything and you don't want to cause another wreck. So if they can, they'll move to the right or the left, or we'll come into oncoming traffic. We do that a lot. We just have to be really careful. But sometimes if it's that bad, we just sit there and wait, turn our lights off.
Now, you said you have to like abide by all the rules. Have y'all ever gotten your hand slapped for something?
Actually, yes. my partner at work, we were on the way back from the hospital and we were going like 83 miles an hour, not running lights and sirens, just trying to get back. And actually a state trooper pulled us over and said, "Do you realize how fast y'all are going?" And we were like, "No, we're just trying to get back to the county." They were like, "You are putting your partner at risk if you're driving like this," and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God, we're about to get tickets in this truck. We're going to lose our jobs.
I like that. You're putting your partner's life at risk. Like, my partner's sitting there going, "Can't you get there faster?"
I know.
So let me ask you this, and I don't have any reason to believe why you might know that you work in the industry in terms of the medical emergency services, etc. But when I came home from Statesville to Mooresville today, there was a fire truck with lights on every single overpass between Statesville and Mooresville. What's that about? Do you know?
They actually might have somebody who passed away that was on the department or something like that, and it might be a memorial to them. I know when we have somebody that passes away, like, I don't know if y'all had seen it, the Atlantic Beach fire chief passed away. He was brought home from, I think it was Virginia, West Virginia. They lined up from those states on, and we lined up for him and held the flags and did the respect thing for him all the way from there to Atlantic Beach.
Wow.
So that's awesome.
That might be what that is. I'm not really sure.
Well, I mean, it's awesome from the perspective of respect. But I mean, I hate that the reason is because somebody lost their life. I didn't know if it might be like an Amber Alert thing or something, but my phone never did anything. Normally you get that stuff on your phone whether you want it or not. But that actually makes sense. That checks out.
That's funny because that was kind of my first reaction. I was like, I wonder if that's like a memorial thing or something, or paying respect to somebody. That's a cool way to do it. You had mentioned, Haley, flight paramedic. What does that mean?
So you have people that ride the helicopters.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them fly around. They actually have paramedics, nurses, sometimes doctors that fly on these helicopters, and they go to the bad stuff, as you would say, the traumas, the car wrecks, the calls where you're so far away from the hospital that they need to get there quicker. So they always get the bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They always get the crazy stuff. So I like critical care. I like trauma. I like stuff like that. So I feel like that would be a good fit for me. I have to work 3 years as a paramedic and get some experience, and then I can apply for it.
So let me ask you this. Does your experience inside a surgical room, does that allow you as a paramedic to engage in a little bit more technical triage on site?
Not really, no. Because as a surgical tech, all we did was really pass the instruments. We didn't really get to do anything cool. We were right there, but we couldn't really do anything. We saw a lot and we learned a lot about procedures and patients and maybe what caused it could help, but not really treating a patient. No.
Okay.
That was
I know.
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt you, Rusty.
Yeah, you're
good. We brought this up. It's not funny, but I laughed anyway. Sorry, but we did a lot. We've done a lot of camping at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and we actually saw Life Flight pick somebody up that got smoked with a Jack Daniels bottle. So that was an interesting experience because
that was an ordeal.
Helicopter literally landed like 100 feet away from us.
That was crazy. So this is something I wanted to ask about that. What is the job of the paramedic? Like, what's your, number 1, 2, and 3 things that you're trying to do when I don't know, you arrive at a scene, you get there by driving 86 miles an hour and abiding by all the laws, of course, but with a little heavier foot. But on scene and getting back, what's your primary goals?
My first goal, and I'll tell anybody this, is safety for yourself and your partner. If you can't get there and you're not safe and you are hurt, you can't help anybody else. So that's my first. Keep me and my partner safe always. The second I would say is do what's best for my patient. Never do anything to hurt your patient. Always, your scope of practice, which scope of practice is doing your skills. Like, I can't do what a doctor does, or I can't do what a nurse does. But here in North Carolina, a paramedic can actually do more than a nurse does, because a nurse has to get doctor's orders where we do not. We have the ability to do these things and not call for orders. So that's pretty cool. And then just get the patient to the hospital quick as possible, safely, and make sure they're alive. Sometimes that doesn't always end up that way, but it's cool when you know that you've done something to save somebody's life and they're alive because you did your job.
Man, that's cool. What's one of the I don't know, whatever you're allowed to share or whatever, I don't know, but what's one
I was going to ask the same question.
Yeah, what's one of the cool success stories? Like you arrive on scene, you're like, there's no way, and then it ends up turning around for you.
I've had several that way, that their family members would go into cardiac arrest or something like that, and we were able to get them back. And I've actually delivered a few babies, which is kind of cool.
Oh, cool.
Very cool.
My first one I delivered was in a house, and they actually named the kids after us. So that was kind of cool. They didn't. It's really rewarding to have these people come to you after they've been saved or whatever, after they get out of the hospital, and say, hey, thank you for saving my life. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here right now. So that's really rewarding.
Man, that's goosebumps for old Rusty right here. That's super neat. Yeah, that's cool. Boy, I could sit here and talk about this stuff all day long, but we do have a little bit of racing to talk about. So why don't we go ahead and do that? And let's see if I can find the button. We'll gas it or tear it down. That's what it is. Talk about the news of the week and everything going on. First period in the report card, Sherwin. Auto Club Speedway. That race has been now moved to Daytona Road Course in February. Sounds like, with everything going on, making sure or just trying to make the schedule fit what folks are, allowing and whatever. But that means the first three races in Florida, Daytona, Road-tona, whatever we want to call that, and Miami.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in California right now. The Chargers and the Rams are considering playing in Vegas, but they're trying to figure out where they're going to practice because New Mexico State is already taking up UNLV. Mm-hmm. They had a really weird situation where they played San Jose State, which is, near Palo Alto, California. Well, San Jose, and where the 49ers play. But they got on a plane, and New Mexico said, yeah, you guys can't land unless you go home for 14 days. And they literally gassed the plane up and flew to Vegas.
That's crazy.
So, nah, we got stuff to do.
Yeah. What a deal in 2020. But yeah, Auto Club moved to Daytona Road Course. That adds another road course to the schedule then. So, and Sherwin, we know who.
I think that's 7, right?
Lucky number 7. And there's a guy that we know that, I don't know, maybe you know who he is, Haley, that maybe just won the championship, who's from Dawsonville, Georgia. And it's won the only road course race or NASCAR Cup road course race at Daytona.
Yeah. So,
I'm a big Chase Elliott fan.
Oh, that's my gal. I love it.
Well, I'm personally a junkie. I would not accuse Rusty of that, though we are both very much aligned in the racers that we've sort of rooted for over the years. But I've been watching Chase since he was 10. I've been waiting for this moment for 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Super cool. How'd you become a Chase fan?
Um, well, personally, I think Chase is very good looking. So, so no, it's cool to see people my age like Byron and Ryan Blaney and Chase. I think that's really neat that they're so young and they're being successful and following in their families' racing footsteps. I think that's pretty cool. I think he can drive. Him and Blaney are probably my favorites right now.
I'll say it. I think Chase and Blaney are pretty good looking too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you reach a point, a certain age, Haley. Even as a man, you can look at another man and go, "Yeah, I get it.
Yep.
I understand."
Yep. He's pretty.
Oh man, he's pretty. I like it. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I'm very interested in how that first 3 weeks will go, especially Daytona followed by Daytona again. What the logistics look like there, and I mean we're talking about like a road car and package and all that stuff versus a regular one. Do you go back home? Do you grab something? Do you bring everything with you and just go straight to practice? Or whether we're doing practice, I don't know. Have they announced that?
Daytona 500 is going to do a regular slate.
Okay.
Of practice, qualifying, or pole qualifying, and then the twin.
That makes me happy.
The twin 150s, they're going to do those too. And they're back to being night races like they have, I think, the last 2 years. Thursday night races maybe, or Friday night. I can't remember which. I know they moved it around a little bit to try to shrink the time period that the teams have to be there. But they're doing – Daytona's probably the only one that's going to have any of that normal stuff that we were used to, 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Haley, you had just said that you like that a lot. Do you think the whole practice thing that sort of has been canceled essentially in 2020, what sort of role does that play? From the racer's perspective, how big a difference does that make?
Well, you got these guys who have ran these tracks 5 years. I mean, they've ran there. I know the cars and setups are different now, but it's kind of the same concept. I would guess. I think it would be tough on the new guys, the rookies that have to go out there and basically learn in less than just a race. I mean, that's tough. And it's not just a driver, it's a mental thing too. I think it's a mind. You have to get your mind right. Like, hey, I don't get any practice. I'm gonna have to do some simulator stuff. I think they would have to look up to the other guys, like just say a new person to Clint Boyer or Tony Stewart or somebody like that to get some advice and see what they need to do. But I think it would be tough.
Absolutely. We talked about it going into the Daytona road course where it was like, okay, well, we didn't know we were going to be racing here, and we have zero practice at this place, so, let it rip, boys.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. I think it would be fun, though. I mean, everybody's in the same boat. I think everybody's going to be it's going to be a guessing game. I think it'll be fun, especially if it rains.
No kidding.
That's true, and that is something that I believe Rusty and I both had a lot of consternation about until it happened, and we're like, "Oh, okay, I get it."
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Xfinity race was a little bit nonsensory, but the Cup race was pretty fun.
I was about to say the Xfinity race was done in a freaking hurricane,
and that was at Charlotte, of course.
That
but
was
yeah,
weird.
And everybody was talking about how fun it was, and it looked fun, but I just couldn't imagine being out there, barely being able to see.
Yeah, that looked bonkers. That looked like might as well run figure eight kind of track deal.
I actually really enjoyed all the drivers that were like, yeah, I remember when we raced at Montreal and this, that, and the other place. And we're like, you see this spot right here? Not only are there not any lights right here, there is so much rooster tail. You literally are looking out the right or the left side of the car to try to find some marker that says, hi, I'm still on the racetrack.
Right. Well, and don't forget, we've got the Bristol Dirt Race to either look forward to or hate on for the next however long until it happens.
You know what? I'll rebrand my personal opinion once we see it happen, but I'm a little skeptical.
Well, I wonder if they're going to leave the banking like it is, but I think it's going to be pretty neat.
Yeah, well, that's a good point too. And I hadn't really, I don't know, give many thought cycles on this whole ordeal other than Bristol dirt. That's interesting, and we've talked about it before. Like, I'm totally in for the dirt deal. Is Bristol the right place for that? But that's a good point on like the banking. Are you going to be in this, whatever it is, 33 degree? I can't remember now, but are they going to do the same banking? That's going to be bonkers.
Well, you know what? I wasn't even thinking about the banking because there are some dirt tracks out there that have some pretty significant banking. What concerned me was we're going to run all 3 major touring series on that same racetrack on that same dirt. Like, how much dirt you got to bring in?
That's a lot of dirt.
And what's that cleanup going to be like once they sling all that dirt into the stands?
Oh, man. I bet that cleanup crew was the first one to cuss out everybody on Earth. Be like, I need double pay.
Yeah, but I don't have to do that.
Yeah. That's going to be bonkers. So, second period, Jimmy Johnson spending his opening his first year of retirement. So, I'm all done hanging up the hat, and now I'm leading Action Express lineup at the Rolex 24. That seems to be like the retirement special, isn't it? Isn't that like what Jeff Gordon did? Didn't Junior run the Rolex or something?
Junior has run the Rolex, but it was a ways back.
Okay,
but he has run it before, yes.
Yeah. So it seems to be like a retirement special here. Like, hey, I'm retired, and now I'm going to go run this crazy endurance race.
Yeah,
go ahead, Haley.
I'm waiting to see what Clint's going to do. What's up his sleeve?
He better be racing something, lawnmower race at dirt at Bristol with, 500cc or something ridiculous.
Yeah, he's got to do. I figured he'd run some dirt cars.
Yeah, I would imagine that he's probably going to do a little bit of racing. I would expect that he might show up in some of those places where retired guys tend to show up every now and again to help out a smaller team and just to get, back behind the wheel. But I think he's going to jump headlong into being the funniest analyst on television. And I hope like hell Fox figures out how to get him a weekly podcast because I want to listen to that.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
All the yeses.
Yeah. To get the hot take, just call it that. Hot take with Clint Boyer, and we're done. That thing sells itself. You'll sell all the Wrangler jeans that exist on Earth. I'll go buy Wranglers tomorrow just to know that it's happening.
And you know that he could have Blake Shelton as a co-host, and they don't even need anybody else except for producer. Those two would just, headlong into the wind.
The beer and funny. The beer that would get drank is immeasurable.
How many beers did he slam while he was doing all that iRacing stuff? There was empty beer cans everywhere.
I had people ask me, if there's one driver you could party with, I said, nope, just stop. That's all you got to say. Clint Boyer. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, Dale Jr. gave him probably his highest accolade title. He said, when hell parties, it raises Clint Boyer.
Yes. That's one of the greatest lines in the history of partying. So, let's see here. We've got Jesse Little. And I bring this up because Haley, probably similar in terms of age and driving acumen as you've been. And so curious if you knew Jesse Little. He's going to be driving the 78 full time for BJ McLeod in Xfinity in 2021.
Oh yeah, I like to see stuff like that. I like to see the smaller teams like myself get that ride and get that opportunity to show that they can really drive. I've always liked watching him race. He can drive. He's really good, but I don't think he's had the right opportunity yet. But I think this year that people are going to see that he can really drive and maybe win some races.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree. And Rusty and I have been sort of dialed into this whole 78 team and BJ McLeod because we're at this point, I would say it's fair to say we're personal friends with Tommy Joe Martins. And so we've kind of watched his process and his involvement with BJ McLeod and said just he's like the greatest human on earth, apparently.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Speaking of, and I didn't put it in the notes here or anything, but I saw that, and I read it because I just searched for NASCAR news and stuff. But Forbes put out an article about Tommy Joe Martins and what they're doing and everything, and just like Tommy does, breaking down the money aspect of all this, he just freaking opened the books and said, "This is what this costs. This is what that costs." Our first deal is $300,000, and that's what we spend on tires and nothing else. That is our tire budget. Next thing is blah blah. Like it was a really interesting article about Tommy Joe Martins. We got to get Tommy Joe on in the off season here, Sherwin.
Yeah, I'll ask him if he wants to be on next week.
There you go.
we have an opening on the 15th that needs filled.
Yeah. Haley, do you know Tommy Joe?
I do know him. I watched him race. I've never really talked to him. I know that he had some season best finishes this past year. I did see that. And that's a good aspect to look at, the money wise, because not many people know how expensive this is. They don't understand when people go ask for sponsors and you say this amount of money, they're like, wow. But they don't realize that it costs that much to go, and tires, fuel, wear and tear. You got to pay your people, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything's just so expensive. So that's really cool that he did that because not many people know.
Yeah.
Well, we had Bob Levine on a few weeks ago, and now that he is a defunct owner of a Cup team, he really let us behind the curtain on what stuff costs. And actually, he affirms some of the things that I did research on about how much different things cost. And it was a super interesting conversation. He really took the gloves off. And so hopefully next time we have him back, we can get a little deeper into them accounting ledgers.
Yeah, well, it's funny because you think I don't know. I don't know if people think this, but it's like this that's a multimillionaire and this is a millionaire sport. But he gives that perspective of, yeah, if I have $1 million budget, I have now bought tires and a couple chassis. Like we're talking about big freaking money here. And so putting that in the perspective of, okay, I'm a grassroots kind of driver or owner or whatever it is, and everything that Bob has done with Texas Motor Speedway and the way that he kind of blindly went into it and everything, and just the expenses on everything is it's unbelievable to hear about and talk about. So I don't know what else to say about it, but yeah, it's wild.
It all matters, and it makes the conversation more interesting because you understand. Why does it matter to Tommy Joe why finishing 23rd is like significantly better than finishing 29th?
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand that. These are small teams that don't have these budgets that these Joe Gibbs teams or anybody like that, and it's a big accomplishment to these people, and it would be big for me for sure to even make the race. That would be a big accomplishment. Mm-hmm. And when you run good like that, you open these sponsors' eyes and teams' eyes that maybe they can combine or do something like that with. So it's always good like that 23rd to 20th. I mean, that looks good. Top 20 finishes in Xfinity or trucks. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So speaking of picking up sponsorships and picking up money, last week we talked about Rick Ware Racing saying that they've got something to announce the very next day. And so indeed, and Rick Ware, a PETM alum, so we'll have to talk to him again at some point. But they picked up a season-long sponsorship from Biohaven's Nurtec, ODT, whatever that is. But paying attention to that. But that means Rick Ware Racing has a season-long sponsorship They've got a car. They've got everything they need except a driver. So, Sherwin, who's the driver? Who do you think they're going after? Or who's the biggest opportunity?
No, because we've seen the guys that you would thought, and girls for that matter too, that would end up getting that would end up getting a ride. They've kind of all filtered into spots.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I really don't know who they would be targeting. I mean, I know who I would go get if it was me, and I wanted a race car that was maybe a 27th or 26th place car, and I've regularly finished 24th or 23rd with it. I'm going to get Landon Castle.
Mm.
And I know he's raced for them before, so I mean, maybe that's already happening. I don't know. I really don't. I got no insider info on this. Sometimes I get some. I don't have any on this.
Yeah. What do you think, Haley?
I would have to guess like Landon or Gray Galding.
Mm-hmm.
Someone like that. I'm available. No, I'm just playing. So I think someone like Gray Galding or Landon Castle, David Reagan probably would run some races. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Okay, so you brought something up there that I think is interesting as we tick down the clock here a little bit. What would it look like for you if all of a sudden a racing opportunity showed up in your lap, but you still wanted to pursue your career as a paramedic and eventually a life flight paramedic or nurse? Like, what does that look like for you? Is that an opportunity that you could do both things?
Oh yeah. I always want to race. I would race every weekend if I could, for sure. And that's a good thing about school and stuff. A lot of it is online that I could do, except the clinical part, which you can always work around that. But for sure, you could make it happen. It would be busy, but they have schedules. You can work around it for sure. But I would definitely take up the racing deal.
Cool.
Yeah. No, that's a good question. I don't know who you go after at this point. Yeah, Sherwin, I think you've brought up some good folks and stuff. Let's see. What do I have? Nashville Super Speedway. They launched a new brand, website, and merch. And Sherwin, I saw their it's funny how this is where my mind goes, because they have the track kind of. Did you see the new logo and stuff?
No, I haven't.
So it's black and white. They've got the track, Nashville Nashville Super Speedway in the middle of it, and then on top of the whole thing is like the guitar. I don't know what you call the very end of it, not the neck, but the thing at the top. I should know this stuff, but
the posts for the strings.
Yeah. So it's got the posts and stuff.
I think they call it the head.
The head, the post, whatever it is, dude. I saw that and I was like, they need to like double down on whoever their design firm is, because that is awesome. And B, that would look real good on a black and white trucker hat. And now I know what my next hat's going to be.
Yeah, that's going to get purchased.
Right. So, big fan of that. And you know, boy, we'll see what 2021 has to offer. Hopefully it has like some sort of vaccine thing to offer, because when we're talking about Daytona Road Course, we're talking about Roval that me and you want to get to. We talk about Nashville that we both want to get to. Now with your location and everything, that opens up so many places. Martinsville that we've been to. I just talked about Roval and Charlotte. Darlington is an obvious one that we go to all the time anyway. There's a lot of makeup races that we got to go to, Sherman.
Austin, America. Yeah. I've already committed to Brett that I'm going to go to the road race doubleheader with Indy and Cup at the Indy Road Course. I mean, it's going to be on like Kong.
Right.
I mean, as long as we're allowed to, we're doing it. And there was something really cool that got announced. Oh yeah. So yesterday on my ride home on the radio, I heard something very interesting. England started distributing the vaccine this morning.
There we go. So
we're getting closer.
I'm first in line, brother. Like, hey, give me the thing so I can go do the stuff that I want to do.
Yeah. I mean, I never have taken a flu vaccine because I had flu once. It's never been a problem for me, but I'm going to be in line for COVID.
Right. Get me past this thing. Haley, what are some tracks that you're looking forward to over the next year?
I'm excited about the Bristol Dirt, I guess, because it's different. I always try to go to Martinsville because Martinsville, I love short tracks. I actually have raced there twice.
Oh, cool, yeah.
I like the Roval. Roval was fun. I've been to all of them except this past year. That was pretty neat. I've been to Daytona once in 2015. I like the short tracks. I guess that's because where I grew up, short track racing. But I've never been to Talladega. I really would like to go there. And I didn't go to one single race this year. One single race.
If you want to have fun at Talladega, you need to come hang out with us and our friends on the infield.
We'll show you a good time at
Talladega. That's the new thing.
That's the only place I would watch the races in the infield. I got to try it out.
It is absurd. It took Rusty and I going there and doing that experience to be regularly watching races at Talladega. Yeah, because we were kind of getting annoyed with it and all the different packages and whatnot. But there is absolutely no substitute for going down and standing between turn 1 and 2 and watch those cars look like the roof is looking at you.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I know. We were at Daytona at the 500, and we were in the infield, and I was standing on pit road, and you could hear the cars go by, and then you'd hear nothing. Like we'd have a whole conversation, and then they come back around. It was cool. It was neat. It was an experience, but I'm a big short track person. I'd much rather watch that. The Roval, I'd rather watch it from the outside so you could see everything. We sat in turn 1 in Charlotte, so that was cool.
Yeah, that is neat. Now that I'm in Mooresville and so much closer to Martinsville, that's probably going to be a more often than not trip for me. I don't know how many times Rusty will get to join me, but I got some friends around North Carolina. They're like, "Hey man, I got the camper warmed up, buddy. It's hitched. Are we going?"
There you go. Y'all, last topic here. How about some Chili Bowl hype? We got 33 days to go. Kyle Larson, JJ Yaley, Chase Briscoe, Justin Allgaier, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, alongside like 300 other entries. This thing has become I don't know. I feel like 5 years ago we talked about Chili Bowl in terms of like, hey, this is kind of a cool thing going on, and now it is. It's the real deal. Haley, have you been following along?
Oh yeah, I'm a big Kyle Larson fan. I've always liked Kyle Larson. He can drive anything he gets behind. I think he has a good shot at winning it. And Chase Elliott, I saw where I think tonight he was running at Millbridge. Was it tonight or last night?
I thought it was tomorrow, but that doesn't mean.
I don't know. I saw where he's running at Millbridge coming up, and I think that's going to be new for him. But I think he'll enjoy it. I think it's cool to see these drivers getting in other cars, and I think it's neat to give back to the dirt world and the super late models. I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that. We didn't even put it in the notes, but, the Snowball Derby this past weekend, and Chase had a great interview with Matt Weaver, who is also a personal friend of ours, talking about how it's important for guys like him to give back to that community. And then what did he do? He won the last chance qualifier and drove all the way to third.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. And I have a lot of respect for him to say that he's got to come back and grassroots where he didn't forget where he was brought up from. He started there. He hasn't forgotten us yet, and I don't think he ever will. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
100%. Hashtag 100%.
33 days till Chili Bowl. I'm excited to see what happens there and see what kind of names float to the top. That said, it's 68 days till the Daytona 500. Haley, what are you doing to fill the time?
I know that we have a little group chat on our phones, and we we actually pick drivers each week. Like, we'll draw names out of a hat, and we'll pick drivers, and whoever wins this week gets this amount of money, which is it's fun to do on the weekends. And we're like, what are we going to do now since we're not doing this? Well, we picked up basketball. We've never done basketball, but we've always done racing. So we're missing that. We're missing the shit talking. We're giving each other hell about each other's drivers, and that's fun. I miss that. I hate off seasons.
Well, we talked about it before, Sherwin, how, this year's been kind of, I mean, obviously it's been wild in everything, and having to miss different sports and stuff. And I said it before that I know I'm in the right podcast because NASCAR is the one that I miss the most. You do I think a lot of it is a dichotomy. It's we're doing high-tech, hard-thinking work for so long that you're like, I just need to go. I need to go to a race, and I need to chill out in the tailgate area. I need to drink some beers, hang around a campfire, talk some BS with some people, and wander the campground. And then I need to go watch cars go fast.
You can't beat. There's nothing better. I mean, I don't understand why people don't like it. There's nothing better than.
That's the cherry on top.
You're talking to the right people.
Right?
I mean,
yeah.
I wrote a whole blog back when doing blogs was a thing about our first trip to Atlanta Motor Speedway, and the only word that I could say was awesome. I was like, I don't even because we'd only watched it on TV, and we're like, you know what? If we're going to be committed to being fans of this sport, we've got to go to a race. And I grew up 8 miles from Atlanta Motor Speedway and never went. My dad wasn't into racing, so we just didn't do it. And we went to a race, and it was like, this is what going to a race is?
Right.
Yeah, we're pretty pot committed on this.
Oh yeah, hooked, line, sinker, everything. Haley, it has been a pleasure. Why don't you close us out and tell the folks where they can find you?
I actually have Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. They're all at Haley Moody 50. Facebook, Haley Moody. I actually just got a new one. I had to get rid of my old one. It took me too long to delete people. I know that sounds ugly, but it had a lot of fake people up there, and I didn't know who they were, and people adding, so I just redid that. You can just find it at Haley Moody. The rest, Haley Moody 50. Follow me. Send me a request.
Sounds awesome. Haley, we're going to have to talk to you again during the middle of the season or something to, break down the races and stuff. Love to get your perspective and everything. It has been awesome talking with you, and appreciate you being on.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me. I wish we could have done it sooner, but I'm glad we finally got to do it. Maybe next time my eye will be better so I can pull my camera up. But I appreciate y'all having me. Absolutely. Y'all be safe.
Absolutely.
I'm a relentless pursuer of somebody who I want to be on our show, and that's why I just stayed on it until we finally made it happen.
There it is. Well worth it. Sherwin, close us out. What's going on?
Yeah, buddy. So you can follow us at PETM Podcast on the Twitters and Instagrams, and we do have a Facebook page, though I don't mess with it a whole lot. We are going to do a show next week. I feel like I think I have to send a text to somebody, but I will confirm to everyone when we have that in place. We're going to take the week of Christmas off, because why not? But Brian Murphy from SHR is good for the 29th, if that's good for you, Rusty.
Sweet! Let's make it happen. Y'all, you know where to find us, PTMPodcast.com, at PTM Podcast. As always, I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace, at Tailgate Mayor. He's Andrew Sherwin, pregame engineer, at pregame engineer. We can't wait to talk to y'all next time. Gonna be fun. We'll announce that guest coming up soon, evidently. But appreciate you hanging out, and appreciate you, Haley Moody. Can't wait to talk again. See y'all next time. Phew. And that's a wrap. Haley, you still with us?
Looked like she signed off.
Okay. So be it. Good times. I think,
YouTubers, let the record show. I did not cuss this week, but our guest did twice.
uh, that's a funny joke right there. Sure. When I think I had texted you, I was like, I don't know, man. Me and you both, like, the hours have been, I don't know, at least mine. I can't speak for both of us. Mine have been at least fulfilling, and I don't know. It might sound like I am complaining about it or something, but I'm totally in. But geez, are we doing a lot of work? It's insane right now. Everything going on, and so coming into this, I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's like 30 minutes. I've got no show notes. Oh, we'll figure something out. But every time, I shouldn't second guess, because every time it's like an hour in, and I'm like, oh, I guess it's time to shut this thing down. So yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew that's what it was going to end up being. That's why I sent you that text I did. I'm like, look, just write it down. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It'd be fine. It'll be fine. And it always is fine, because we figure out ways to prod the guest and to tell them a little bit more story, and fill in the time. And next thing you know, you look down, you're like, okay, it's 30 minutes in. All right, we got like 3/4 of the show sheet left. I'm like, well, we're not going to have any problem filling this time.
Right.
That's just a thing. But I mean, it's I don't know what it's like day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute for you. For me, this has been a new discovery, employment wise, of not really being all that worried about what the time commitment is. I mean, I even went in on Saturday this past weekend on my own volition, just to poke my head in there and say, hey, guess what? I can come in here whenever I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what the weird thing is, and I don't know what this is like for you. If there's any congruency at all, there may not be any. If I walked in on Saturday and my boss isn't there and the maintenance manager isn't there, the ranking officer in the building is me. As soon as I step foot in the door, it's like, that's a weird place to be in.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't know. I guess, like, right now, our office is open, but it's optional to come in. Now, I come in every day because, I don't know, maybe I'm a weirdo, maybe I'm just whatever you want to call it. Like, I really like having that separation between, like, office and home type of thing. So I hate working from home, I guess, is the whole point. So I go in every day, but nobody else does. So yeah, it's like people around will look at me, and I'm like, looking for a decision. I'm like, I'm not the decision guy. What's going on here? So, but no, it's all good. Oh,
well, it's always fun when you go in there and people are like, why are you here? I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of figured I'd show up and poke around.
Yeah.
Maybe have some influence, which I did. We were running a product, and they're like, I don't know about this. And I go, this is fine. Pass it. Yeah. Pass it.
Yeah. I'll try to get this thing to where folks can see us. There we go. Now we're back into visible mode for the after
One of the
dark.
things that's been kind of funny is process engineering and maintenance are always at war with each other, because we insist that their stuff's broken, and they insist that we're running a bad process. And it gets to be kind of funny, because the maintenance manager guy, he's like an ex-submariner or whatever. Like, he's a Navy guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the guy you want running your maintenance department. Trust
Mm-hmm.
me, you want a military man who's had experience running maintenance departments. Like, there's no better guy to have in that role, because they're very technically skilled in terms of getting paperwork done and getting things ordered and getting things installed. But he's got a ton of personality, and he figured out pretty early in the process that me too. and he, he spent the last like a year, I guess, fighting against someone who wasn't as technically skilled in what we do, probably way more sound than me in terms of doing validation paperwork and like following a structure. This is why we're doing what we're doing, and we're going to write it down. And I'm just like, I'm straight cowboy. I'm like, I tell my guys, I'm like, look, you don't want me going and changing things on your machine, because if you force me into doing that, I'm going to make a mess. And it's not because I don't know what I'm doing. It's because I know too much about what I'm doing.
No, I tell the opposite with my folks. I'll sometimes accidentally assign a ticket to myself, and I'll be like, oh, oops. And everybody will be on the phone. I'll be like, oops, didn't mean to assign that to me. If I try to do that, we're all screwed.
Well, and that's where the humility comes in. You got to be like, yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
I'll get it done sometime next year, and it'll be wrong. So let's go ahead and assign that to the right person.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I know you are doing this too, and this is what people probably don't understand. And this is so for all the YouTuber folks that are still listening. Rusty and I don't make $500 decisions during the course of a day when we're at work. We make 6 and 7 digit decisions. Sometimes
it's scary sometimes. Yeah. You go to your boss and you're like, I made this decision and this is why. And if you're going to fire me on the spot for that, I understand, but I don't know what other thing to say other than, that's the data that I had at the time, and that's a decision that was made, and we're moving forward. And, when you hear the boss man go, yeah, that sounds perfectly sound, you're like, all right, I live to see another day.
Oh, yeah, I just had this conversation last Thursday with or Wednesday with my boss. He's like, we're $100,000 into this decision.
Yeah.
Are you what are you doing? Like, how are we gonna we've already lost all of that. Right. So what are you gonna do to make sure that we don't lose another $100,000?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just cha-ching, 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 one more, who cares? Anyway. Well, folks, we'll shut down the live stream here. It's been good talking to everybody. It's been fun. We got some phone calls to make, and maybe we'll have a special guest next week. We'll see what Tommy Joe's up to and everybody else.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll call somebody or text them until somebody says yes.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, good to see y'all.